This is the QTV Nightly News coming to you from our studios on Karaba Avenue. I am Joel Denjai. Thank you for joining us. Here are the main news headlines. Following a press release by the Gambia Armed Forces about the arrest of ex-Brigadier General Bora Koli, a former senior officer of the Gambia Armed Forces and an alleged member of the Junglers, we engaged the public relations officer of the Gambia Armed Forces to shed light on the ex-general's arrest. And the Gambia government, through the Ministry of Interior in partnership with the UNDP, on Tuesday validated the Peace and Reconciliation Commission bill recommended by the TRRC. Now, following the passing of the Rent Amendment Bill 2023 by the National Assembly in March 2024, we hear from Honorable Madi MKCC, the National Assembly member for Serekunda West, who tabled the private member's bill. Now, as part of their continuing efforts to enforce tobacco control laws in the Greater Banjul area, the Ministry of Health officials and their partners on Tuesday visited the Serekunda market to ensure compliance. And we hear about the Gambia's first ever organic fertilizer company production. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. Thank you very much for staying with us. If you are just tuning in, this is QTV News. And now, following a press release by the Gambia Armed Forces about the arrest of ex-Brigadier General Bora Koli, a former senior officer of the Gambia Armed Forces and an alleged member of the Junglers, who went AWOL after the departure of former President Yahya Jammeh, QTV's Rohi Samba engaged Colonel Lamin K. Sanyang, the public relations officer of the Gambia Armed Forces, to shed light on the ex-general's arrest. Here is an excerpt.
On Friday, the 9th of August 2024, the Gambia Armed Forces had information about the presence in this country of ex-Brigadier General Bora Koli, who was a former senior officer of the Gambia Armed Forces and a member of the Junglers, who had left this country in January 2017 after the departure of former President Yahya Jammeh. And acting on this information, the Gambia Armed Forces intelligence operatives mounted a surveillance around his residence within the Greater Banjul area. However, before midnight on Friday, ex-General Bora Koli surrendered himself at the military police post in Yundum Barracks. And since his surrender, an arrest was effected on him and was placed under the custody of the military police. Yesterday, the matter was forwarded to the higher authority, and instructions or directives have been given for the constitution of a joint investigation panel that will be comprised of officials from the Gambia Armed Forces, representatives from the State Intelligence Services, the Gambia Police Force, and other security agencies, and also including officials from the Ministry of Justice. As we speak also, some immediate measures were taken by the Armed Forces High Command. First, we subjected the General to a medical checkup to ascertain his state of well-being and health condition before we proceed. So that has been conducted, and the General has been found to be stable and also not needing any admission for now. We want to assure the general public that the General's human rights and other privileges would be accorded him in line with international human rights law. We would respect his right to a fair hearing and a fair trial. He's innocent until proven guilty.
That was the Colonel Lamin K. Sanyang, the Public Relations Officer of the Gambia Armed Forces, shedding light on the ex-general's arrest. Now, the Gambia government, through the Ministry of Interior in partnership with the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, Tuesday validated the Peace and Reconciliation Commission bill recommended by the TRRC. Usman Jata tells us more.
Following the peaceful transfer of power in January 2017, after 22 years of autocratic rule in the Gambia, the government embarked on reform processes to come to terms with the country's past and lay the ground for democratic governance and durable peace. The reform processes include the establishment of a Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission (TRRC), whose final report recommended the setting up of a legal and institutional framework to establish the Peace and Reconciliation Commission. Abraham K. Mendy, Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Interior, represented the Minister of Interior.
The recommendation also emphasized structures at the decentralized level to ensure that all parts of the country are not only involved, but are encouraged and endeared to take ownership of what is rightly theirs and thus guarantee the actualization of our Never Again commitment.
The United Nations Development Programme continues to play a critical role in supporting the efforts of the government towards the implementation of key recommendations from the TRRC report. Mandisa Mashulugo is the United Nations country representative.
This consultative process also provides us with another opportunity to bring together key stakeholders to reflect on what needs to be done to achieve a genuine and just peace and reconciliation for this great nation. Our last engagement under the leadership of the Ministry of Interior was right here at the launch of the Conflict and Development Analysis, where we recognized a clear pathway to prevent and mitigate any challenges that leave no one behind as we implement the recovery-focused National Development Plan and work towards the SDGs.
Through support from partners, the Ministry of Interior hired a consultant who consulted with numerous stakeholders, including the executive and leaders of political parties. Deputizing for the chairman of the Technical Working Group, Mohamed Esper, president of the Gambia Press Union, noted the need to establish a robust infrastructure that will serve as the cornerstone for long-term stability and reconciliation.
It's very key towards having a bill that will stand the test of time, a bill that will incorporate our values, because we have we've been having very important values towards reconciliation and also settling disputes amongst ourselves. We have the Badim Bung, Kacha, we also have the Banta amongst ourselves. It's important that we look into the bill whether it reflects our common values as Gambia.
The Peace Commission is expected to champion the healing, reconciliation, social cohesion in the country's democratic transition. Stakeholders describe the validation as a significant milestone towards the country's transitional justice process. Osman Jata, reporting for QTV News.
Now, the Rent Amendment Bill 2023 became law this year after President Adama Barrow assented to it, following its passing by the National Assembly in March 2024. Lolly M. Kamara engaged the Honorable Member Madi M.K. Sisi, the National Assembly member for Serekunda West, who tabled the private member's bill, which led to the bill becoming an act and thus the law.
Among other matters, the new law provides better protection for tenants and addresses issues such as high rental costs and unfair evictions. Madi M.K. Sisi, the National Assembly member for Serekunda West, elaborates.
It is an act, so it is a full-fledged law. It has been assented to by the President on the 26th of April 2024 and gazetted on the 5th of May. And laws take their effect from the day they are gazetted. So this Rent Amendment Act of 2024 is a law. Very relieved and happy because the objective of the law is to make life easy for both tenants and landlords, and also looking at certain specific areas where it's really difficult when it comes to pay rent, and it also addresses the issue of an intermittent increment of rents for tenants. So all these things are captured in the law, But again, the landlords are also protected because the law is very clear at Section 19 that the tenants must really upkeep the premises that they rent. And if they are leaving, if there are any major damages, it should all be repaired and be in one piece. So it is a win-win situation for both tenants and landlords.
Honorable Cisse explained how the law will be implemented now that it has been passed.
The implementation of this law rests on the shoulders of the Gambians themselves, because this is between you and your landlord in your corner somewhere in Manjai or somewhere in Bakau. So if you agree and then he increases his rent by 10%, by 50%, and you don't take the matter to the rent tribunal, then you are condoning the violation of the act. So tenants must speak out to know that you cannot increase my rent for anything more than 5%.
While highlighting the significance of these achievements, Honorable Cisse said greater emphasis will be placed on ensuring the public is informed about the implementation of this law.
I have already started talking to the National Civic Council. They are the ones that's responsible of really creating awareness among Gambians, and that process is on. But even before that process starts, I must commend QTV, because from the onset, that is from the time that the idea, the conceptualization of the bill comes into play on through the process of the bill in the parliament and up to the stage, there has been a lot of media coverage on this by QTV. So what I am going to continue doing is to partner with the National Civic Council so that we can have a package of giving people aware about what is happening about this bill, what are the violations, what if a violation is done, where do you want should go. These are things that we will address, and then it will be nationwide, and it will be radio programs, television programs, and even town hall chats, so that people know about the existence of the laws, and when the law is violated, you can know where to address it.
These protections provided for by this law are expected to have a positive impact on the housing market and improve the lives of many citizens. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
That story by Lolly M. Kamara will take us to a commercial break. When we return, we have some more local news stories for you. Do stay tuned.
Need a quick car service? Espas Motors has got you covered. From quick scans to oil changes and fuel filter replacements, we handle it all within an hour. Take advantage of our exclusive promotion with 35% off labor and 10% off service. Espas Motors is located at Bertil Harding Highway, opposite Kotu Power Station. Book now. Call 353-4444, 352-2222, 385-6822. Hurry. Offer ends September 7th. Espas Motors.
Welcome to the future of transportation in the Gambia. The Bertil Harding Highway, a 22-kilometer double carriageway, is set to revolutionize travel and connectivity in our beloved country. A 3-lane highway means more space for vehicles, smoother traffic flow, and reduced congestion. Each lane has a specific purpose. The leftmost lane for overtaking and faster vehicles, the middle lane for standard driving, and the rightmost lane for slower and turning vehicles.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News. Now to the rest of our stories. Now, as part of their continuing efforts to enforce tobacco control laws in the Greater Banjul, Ministry of Health officials and their partners on Tuesday visited various shops in Serekunda Market to ensure compliance. Lolly M. Kamara accompanied the officials, and this is her report.
The Tobacco Control Act was passed in 2016 to protect the public from the harmful effects of tobacco use. It includes measures such as banning smoking in public places, prohibiting the sale of tobacco products to minors, and the selling of single sticks of cigarettes. Before setting out, officials gathered at the Serekunda police station where they were briefed by Commissioner Pa Bojang, head of the task force. At Serekunda Market and the nearby garages, officials checked on businesses to ensure that they were adhering to the law. They also reminded people of the dangers of tobacco use and the importance of following the law. Sefo Singate, the senior program officer at the Non-Communicable Disease Unit of the Ministry of Health, while sharing his impressions with us after the operation, said enforcement of tobacco control laws is a priority for the government, adding that they want to ensure that the public is protected from the harmful effects of tobacco use and that businesses obey the law.
The compliance, we can say, is improving because we've seen a little bit of some open stick selling, not as rampant as before, and we are seeing also some products that are not compliant with the pictorial health warnings, our graphic designs. There are several products that are especially SHA. This is a national problem because it is across the whole country. SHA is coming illegally into the country. It is not having any pictures. It is not having any health warning on the principal display areas, and there is no sold in the Gambia on the cigarette packs, so which is illegal.
Mr. Singate also urged the public to report any violations of the Act to the authorities, stressing that the support of the community will help them to effectively enforce this law and create a healthier environment for everyone. He then explained what would happen to those arrested during the operations.
Displaying tobacco products at points of sales. They were also found selling tobacco products in single sticks. That is, they were opening the pack and selling in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sticks, which is completely prohibited by law. And also, they were found in contravention of Section 17, that is Packaging and Labeling of the Tobacco Control Act. These products do not have pictorial health warnings, and they do not have sold in the Gambia and them. This is why these people were apprehended, and from here they will be cautioned, and the law will take its necessary course.
Omar Conte from Red the Gambia and a member of the task force revealed that a substance believed to be kush was found during this operation.
No, it came as a surprise because this particular exercise is for tobacco exercise only. But when we reach at the station here, because there are products that we confiscated along the way, but as long as we arrive at the station here, we realize that in the packet there is a substance called what they identify as to be kush. Although we don't identify the person that we confiscated this product in. So it's something that is alarming because if you look at the Gambia, not only Gambia, but even the sub-region, kush is something that is seriously alarming in the society.
Officials say enforcement of the Tobacco Control Act is an ongoing effort, and as part of these efforts, they will continue their visits to different areas and marketplaces in Greater Banjul. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
Laudable initiative there. Now, in a bid to make access to fertilizer and help address production challenges while minimizing the use of chemical fertilizer, a young Gambian entrepreneur, Bertil, has established the country's first ever organic fertilizer production company, EcoSoil. QTV's Ansumana Esonyasi visited them at their Kutu outlet to learn how their locally produced fertilizer is impacting farming in the Gambia.
Access to fertilizer, especially for large-scale farmers in the Gambia, remains a major challenge due to the high cost despite notable subsidies by government. However, one young man is determined to change that. Bertil is a young Gambian entrepreneur who, along with his partners, established EcoSoil Quality Organic Fertilizer Company, the country's first ever locally made organic manure house. He tells us how, after 2 years of experimentation, they have started distribution following government approval through the National Agricultural Research Institute, NARI, which tested and certified their fertilizer as being suitable for Gambian farming needs.
The mission is to promote the use of organic fertilizer that's locally made for the improvement of our soil, to make sure that farmers have accessibility to affordable fertilizer, and so that we can also reduce our dependence on expensive chemical fertilizers that are imported from outside the country. The need came about 3 years ago when we started researching different methods of mass producing organic fertilizer for farmers, especially after the war in Ukraine, when the price of local fertilizers went up to almost $2,500 per bag in some places.
This big warehouse in Kotu is one of 2 production outlets they have, where about 300 staff, most of whom are young men and women, produce what is being regarded as one of the best fertilizers in the country. They produced a combined 8,000 bags of fertilizer daily. Momar Tal says their mission is to eradicate the importation of fertilizer, especially chemical fertilizer, which he argues destroys soil fertility, unlike organic fertilizer, which he says is best for greenhouse plants and crops.
So what the farmers produce is what we eat. So when the farmers are producing with chemical fertilizer, those chemicals in that fertilizer end up in your food. Whereas when you're doing organic fertilizer, those organic elements is what ends up in your food. So you're getting healthier crops.
He says their product is of the highest quality and has also been scientifically validated by reputable international institutions, adding that this farming season they intend to distribute at least 6,000 tons of organic eco-soil fertilizer to farmers across the country.
Before you question something, you must have a basis. And before we also advocate for our fertilizer, we must have a basis. When we developed the fertilizer, we took 3 years before we came to market doing tests, different tests on the quality, on the yield, on what crops it can work on, what effects it has on different soils. And these were internal tests and also external tests. So the government of the Gambia, with the correct bodies, being the National Agricultural Research Institute and the Ministry of Agriculture through the Department of Agriculture, has conducted various field trials and come up with reports that are available to the government. And this is why the government has confidence to work with us.
Driven by their passion to transform the agricultural sector, EcoSoil seeks to help farmers nourish their soil and improve crop yields. In the Gambia, the agricultural sector remains the largest employer and contributor to the GDP. However, farmers continue to face many challenges, including lack of farming implements and fertilizer. It is hoped that with sufficient support, Gambian-owned establishments such as EcoSoil, challenges such as lack of fertilizer can be addressed, thereby boosting agricultural productivity. Ansmane Sonyase for KTV News.
Now, as concerns grow over loss of forest cover, some communities are taking the initiative to turn things around. The community of Jara Karantaba village, in collaboration with the Regional Forestry Office and the VDC, embarked on a tree planting exercise at the village community forest. Our regional correspondent, Bakari Balde, filed this report.
In a bid to restore lost forest cover, the community of Jara Karantaba turned out in large numbers to plant over 200 trees of different varieties in their community forest. According to the organizers, this community forest used to be dense. However, they said most of the trees have disappeared, mostly due to human activity. Lamin Bayo is the regional forestry officer of Lower River Region.
Well, within the communities at the regional level here, we usually develop what is called the fire management plans with the forest committee members. And in this fire management plan, it includes activities that will help in the prevention, first and foremost, in the prevention of the forest fire. And also in the event that it happens, the plan will also state the means that people will take to make sure that the fire doesn't go out of hand.
Issa Fati, the chairman of the Village Development Committee, applauded the Regional Forestry Office and the community for their participation and outlined the significance of the exercise.
Many part of the country is complaining about the rainfall. So by planting more trees can give you more rainfall. We encounter in some months ago, like April, May, how much heat and blowing wind we having, which bring a lot of sickness within us. The only solution to remedy that is to have a more thick forest, plant more tree. So I think it's very important for all the communities in the Gambia to stand up and start planting more trees in their backyards and in their community forests and in everywhere.
Lamin Fofana, The village forestry chairman attributed the lost forest cover to overgrazing, illegal logging, and bushfires. He pleaded for support.
Lafta sifa be fana la parce que lafta pour ka janna ko topoto bake maybe han me born defense ro saje kana no ja wato wati kan to ko membe jante kana jambar jama bu kana no baka wato wati born defense tambul jama kana si wala wado je ta naka kolemal ye born nem born defense be bul wato wati sifuta no janne anytime e jambe round sinya kile mu reta so kono.
Lamin Bajo, the regional forestry officer, has this advised.
I would want everybody to participate in forest management. For communities that doesn't have community forest, let them try and find a place within their community that can be a forest reserve, or it can even be a woodlot, or some people even if they have private lands, they can turn it into a private forest.
Forests safeguard basic natural assets such as soil, water, climate, and air that are so essential for sustaining life. The community is delighted that they are able to do this activity annually to protect the forest cover for sustainable development. Bakari Balde, QTV News.
Well, this is all we got time for. Do join us at 10 p.m. for another news bulletin. Thanks for watching.